In this video, we are going to work on question 4. So we are going to be working on question 4. Question 4. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's get down to it. So we will be starting with question 4.1. We'll be starting with question 4.1. So question 4.1 says that the choir committee of a high school have started a small business to raise funds for their upcoming tour. They make and sell carry bunnies with assistance from their parents. And then we are told that they pay their parents $450 each month to cover costs for water and electricity. And then it costs them 10 rand to make one carry bunny. And then we are told to look at table 3 below. We are told that table 3 below shows their income and expenses for 1 month. Okay, so we have our set of questions, and the first one will be question 4.1.1. So we are told to use the above information to answer the questions that follow. So we have a table, which is table 3, which consists of 3 rows. And the first row talks about the number of carry bunnies, and the second row talks about the expenses in rent, and then the third row speaks about income. And then we have our bunnies, the number of carry bunnies on our first row, and then we can see that if 0 bunnies are baked, we will make 0 income, and if 10 bunnies are baked and sold, we will get 250, and so on and so on. So now let's go ahead and start working on our set of questions. So we'll start with question 4.1.1. So question 4.1.1 says that identify the dependent and independent variables in the above context. So we need to identify the dependent and the independent. So the dependent is the one that relies on another. So the variables that we are given here, we have the number of carry bunnies, we have expenses, and we have income. So the dependent is the one that depends or relies on another. So we know that if we don't sell any carry bunnies, we won't get any money, meaning that for us to get income or money, we need to have carry bunnies. So we can say that the dependent variable will be income, which needs to be in rands. So for us to get money, we need to have, for us to receive money or to get income, we rely on carry bunnies, meaning that our independent variable will be the number of carry bunnies. So this one is independent, will be the number of carry bunnies. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 4.1.2. 4.1.2. So question 4.1.2 says that determine the selling price of one carry bunny. So we need to find out the selling price of one carry bunny. And then if we look at our table, we can see that if we have 10 number of carry bunnies, how much money will we get? We will get 250, meaning that to determine the selling price of one carry bunny, we just come and take our 250 and divide by 10 because we had 10 bunnies. So if we divide by 10, we can be able to see how much one carry bunny costs. Okay, so now we will just come and plug this on our calculator. So we will come and say 250 divide by 10, and our answer will be 25, meaning that one carry bunny costs 25 rand. Okay, so now let's move to our next question, which is question 4.1.3. So question 4.1.3 says that write down the formula they will use to determine their total expenses. So we need to write down the formula that they will use to determine their total expenses. So we know that this committee needs to pay 450 to their parents to cover water and electricity. So it means that the 450 is fixed. It needs to be paid. So we need to come and say total expense is equals to, so we have the 450 for water and electricity, so this needs to be paid. And then we need to add, so we are told that for them to make one carry bunny, it costs them 10 rand. So it will cost them 10 rand, and then we will just multiply the 10 by the number of carry bunnies to check the total expense. So here we will have number of carry bunny. So this is our formula, and we can even test it, right, to prove that this formula is correct. We can test it. So let's test it. So this is an example, right? So if we want to find the total expense of producing, let's say 20 bunnies, so we just come and say 450 plus 10 multiplied by 20, and we can see that the expenses of producing 20 bunnies is 650. So we need to get 650 here if we use this formula. To prove that our formula is correct, if you look at the table, you will see that we need to get 650. Okay, so now let's do this together. So we'll come and say 450 plus 10 multiplied by 20, and our answer will be 650. So we can prove that our formula is working correctly. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 4.1.4. Question 4.1.4. Okay, let's go ahead and start working on it. So this will be question 4.1.4. So question 4.1.4 says that the graph drawn on the answer sheet shows the total income on the same set of axes, and we are told to draw a graph showing the total expenses for the number of carry bunnies made in 1 month. So we can just do it here, right? We can just do it here. So this will be the amount in rand, and then this will be our number of carry bunnies. So we can just say bunnies, right? Bunnies. So we can start from 450. So it's 450. So here it will be 0, and then 450, and then maybe 900, and then 1,350, and then 1,800, and then maybe 2,000, 2,000, and then maybe we can have 3,000, and then we can also have up until, so we can just keep 4 and write 5,000 so that we have enough space. And then here we can have 0 bunnies, 50 bunnies, and then 100 bunnies, and then 150, 200, and then maybe 250. So we are given the one that has income. So the one for income has already been done for us. So us, we need to do the one for total expenses. Okay, so we just go to our table to get the figures that we need to plug. So we know that when we have 0 bunnies, we need to pay how much? Our expenses will be 450. So when we have 0 bunnies, our expenses will be 450. Meaning that we need to come and write a point here. Okay, and then when we have 10 bunnies, our expenses is 550. So when we have 10 bunnies, our expenses will be 550. So we can say 550 somewhere here. So that's how we do it. And then when we have 20 bunnies, our expenses will be 650. So we can just come and say 20 and 650. And then when we have 50 bunnies, our expenses will be when we have 50 bunnies, so let's check 50, our expenses will be 950. So you can see our expenses is somewhere here. So it's okay. And then when we have 100 bunnies, our expenses will be 1,450. So we can see 1,450 somewhere here, right? And then when we have 150 bunnies, our expenses will be 1,950. So we can see 1,950 somewhere. So we can see somewhere here or somewhere here. And then when we have 200 bunnies, our expenses will be 2,450. So we come and check 2,450 this side. So we can see it's somewhere here. And then after pointing it out, we can just draw our line. And then that's it. That's how we do it. I hope it makes sense, guys. I hope it really makes sense. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 4.1.5. So but before we do that, let's create a bit of space so that we can have enough space to continue working on our questions. Okay, so now let's move to question 4.1.5. 4.1.5. So question 4.1.5 says that the choir committee claims that if they sell 200 carry bunnies every month for 4 months, they will make more than 10,000 profit. Okay, so if they sell 200, so if we go to our table, we can see that if they sell 200, how much will they get? They will get 5,000. Okay, so from the 5,000, we need to subtract the expense of producing 200 bunnies. So it will be 2,450. And then, so this is income, this is expense, and then our answer will be profit. So income minus expenses is equals to profit. So income minus expense is equals to profit. Okay, so we'll come and say 5,000 minus 2,450, and our answer will be 2,550. So this is the profit for 1 month. So the question says that the choir committee claims that if they sell 200 carry bunnies every month for 4 months, they will make more than 10,000 profit. So to get the profit for 4 months, we just come and say 2,550 multiplied by 4. Multiplied by 4. So it will be 2,550 multiplied by 4. And we can see that after 4 months, they will have 10,200 profit. So we can see that their claim is valid. So what they said is true. Okay, so now we are done with question 4.1, and we will be moving to question 4.2. So, but before we move to question 4.2, let's go ahead and create a bit of space. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't, and to subscribe to the channel so that when we upload, you are the first to be notified. Okay, so we are going to start with question 4.2. So we are going to start with question 4.2. So question 4.2, we are told that the frequency table below shows the number of motorists buying petrol on a specific day. Okay, so we are told to use the above information to answer the questions that follow. So we have the time interval column, we have the frequency column, and we also have the cumulative frequency column. Okay, so let's go ahead and start working on our set of questions. So we'll start with question 4.2.1. So question 4.2.1 says that determine the value of C. So if we look at our table, we can see that we have the value of C that is missing. Okay, so to get our C, we just add 20 plus 13. Because if you look above C, you can see that we have 20. And how the 20 is calculated, they just took the current frequency and the previous cumulative frequency. So it's 12 plus 8, it gave 20. And then to get C, we just take 20 and add 13. Okay, and if we do that, our answer will be 33. So we can just plug it on our calculator to be safe. So it's 20 plus 13, and our answer will be 33. Okay, so now let's move to question 4.2.2. Let's move to question 4.2.2. 4.2.2. So question 4.2.2 says that give the time interval at D. So the time interval at D, it is the time in between. So we can see that before D, the time ended at 14:59, meaning that on the cell D, the time will start at 3, and then it will end at 17:59. So it is the time in between the two intervals. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 4.2.3. 4.2.3. So question 4.2.3 says that write down the modal time interval. So we know that our modal is our mode, and then we know that our mode represents the most occurrence. So if we look at our frequency column, we can see that those are the number of people buying petrol between those time intervals. So we need to find the time interval that most people bought petrol. Okay, and then that's how we are going to answer question 4.2.3. So we need to find the time interval that most people bought petrol. So we can see that 23 people bought petrol between 6 and 1 minute to 9. So our answer will be 1800 to 2059. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 4.2.4. 4.2.4. So question 4.2.4 says that each motorist buys an average of 6.5 liters of petrol on this day, right? If the price of petrol is 21.92 per liter, determine the total cost for the petrol bought on this day. So we are told that if one person is buying 6.5 liters of petrol on this day, and we know that how many people bought petrol on this day? 77 people. So they are saying that one person was buying 6.5 liters. So we just need to come and say 6.5 liters multiplied by 77. Then we will get the number of liters bought on this day. Okay, so it will be 6.5 multiplied by 77, and our answer will be 500.5 liters. So now we need to find the total cost, and to get the total cost, we'll come and say 505 liters multiplied by the cost per liter, and we know that 1 liter costs 21.92. So the total cost will be 505.5 multiplied by 21.92, and our answer will be 10,970.96. And then now let's move to our last question for question 4.2. So our last question will be question 4.2.5. So question 4.2.5 says that what is the probability as a fraction? So as a fraction means that our answer needs to be like this. So this is a fraction. Our answer needs to be in this form. So we are told that what is the probability as a fraction of motorists buying petrol before 12? So if we check before 12, how many motorists bought petrol? We can see that before 12, only 20 motorists bought petrol. So we'll come and say 20. And then what is the probability as a function of motorists buying petrol before 12 on this day? So it's 20. And then we divide by the total number of motorists that bought petrol on this day. Always remember that if we are dealing with probabilities, you always need to divide by the total. So we know that 77 motorists bought petrol on this day. Remember, our answer needs to be in a fraction form, so we have to leave it as it is. Okay, so now we are done with question 4.2, and we will be moving to question 4.3. But before we do that, let's create a bit of space. Okay, and don't forget, guys, that we do have extra classes, and if you want to be part of our extra classes, you can just text the number you are seeing on the screen, and then we will be able to add you on our group. And remember that our extra classes are very affordable. They only cost 80 rands per month. So it's only 80 rand to attend our extra classes. Okay, so now let's move to question 4.3. Let's move to question 4.3. So question 4.3, we are told that Setu wants to save money to buy Setu wants to save money to buy her mother a gift for her 50th birthday, which is in 4 years' time. Okay, and then she decides to look at 2 banks, both offering an interest rate of 8.5% per annum. She has 1,000 that she can save. The table below shows the amount that she will have saved at each bank annually. So annually means yearly. Okay, so we are told to use the above information to answer the questions that follow. So we'll start with question 4.3.1. So question 4.3.1 says that which bank represents simple interest? Give a reason for your answer. So simple interest basically means that the interest amount is the same every year. So that's simple interest. So it means that the interest amount is the same each and every year. So if we look at bank 2, or not bank 2, bank B. So let's first calculate our interest. So it's 1,000 multiplied by, so we are told that the interest is 8.5% per annum. So it's 0.5, so it's 8.5%, and our answer will be 85. So the interest is 85 rand per year. So we can see that after the first year, she will have the 1,000 that she invested plus 85, and then in total it will be 1,085 rand. And then in the following year, remember it's simple interest, the interest is increasing at the same amount, so the interest doesn't change for each year, meaning that even after the second year she will still get 85 rand interest. So we'll just come and add 85. So we can see that this is a simple interest, and then after year 3 we just add 85 again, and then you can see on our table, and then if we add it again, we can see that after 4 years she will have a total of 1,340. So this is simple interest, meaning that our answer will be bank B. Bank B, right? So now let's move to our next question, which is question 4.2, not 4.2, which is question 4.3.2. So it's question 4.3.2. So question 4.3.2 says that Setu claims that if she invests at bank A, she will have saved 45.86 more than she would have at bank B after 4 years. Verify showing all calculations whether a statement is valid or not. So first we need to check how much she will have after 4 years if she's banking with bank A. So let's calculate the interest for the 4th year. So how do we do it? So we take how much she has on year 3. So it's 1,277.92, and then multiply by 8.5, divide by 100. So don't be confused by dividing by 100. We can either say divide by 100 or 8.5%. So when you plug it on your calculator, it will give you the same amount, whether you used this or this. Okay, so now let's calculate the interest that she's going to get in year 4. So we just come and plug this on our calculator. So it will be 1,277.29 multiplied by 8.5 divided by 100. So we can see that she's going to get interest of 108.56965. So this is the interest that she's going to get, meaning that after year 4 she will have a total of, so we just add what she already has. So we just go ahead and add 1,277.29 plus 108.86965, and then after year 4 this is how much is going to add. Remember, we already have the 108, so we'll just come and add the 1,277.29 and after year 4 she will have 1,385.86. so we rounded it off to 2 decimal places. So this is how much you will have after year 4. So remember, the question is saying that Setu claims that if she invests at Bank A, she will have saved 45.86 more than if she invests at Bank B. So we can just find the difference between the two. So this is for Bank A, and then for Bank B we have 1,340. So we can just come and find the difference. So it's 1,385.86 minus 1,340. So 1,385.86 minus 1,340, and we can see that our answer is 45.86. so this is the difference. Okay, this is the difference. So we can say that her statement is valid. Okay, so now let's move to our final question, which is question 4.3.3. So question 4.3.3 says that Setu would like to order her mother a clock from Switzerland. It costs 68.49 euros. The exchange rate is 1 euro equals to 19.83. If she decides to invest with Bank A, will she have saved enough for 4 years to afford the gift? So if she have saved with Bank A, it means that after 4 years she will receive 1,800, and so this is what we, so it will receive what we calculated here, right? So to check if she affords, we just come and say 1,385.86 multiplied by 19.83. Okay, no, that's not how we do it. So we need to compare this one with what we will get here. So we just come and say 68.49 multiplied by 19.83. so we just multiply the exchange rates. So we come and say 68.49 multiplied by 14 point, not 14, I think it's 19, right? 19.83, and our answer will be 1,358.16. so this is how much the dress will cost. So we compare it with what we got here, with what she will get on Bank A if she invests with Bank A, and we can see that she can be able to afford the dress. And that brings us to the end of our question 4. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and if you wish to join our extra classes, just text the number you are seeing on the screen, and then we'll be able to add you on the group. Okay.